Chapter 52-56. And it was because of Old Man Song's sacrifice. This caused Yi Qingluo's emotions to be totally out of control. Originally because she inherited the God Emperor's inheritance, the profound qi in her body was suppressed. At this moment, it was like water bursting out from a dam, spreading wave after wave throughout Yi Qingluo's limbs and bones. Yi Qingluo's energy exploded at this moment. Her power was unfathomable and shocking. But the drawback was, Yi Qingluo's body couldn't take such a load. Her energy was completely in a messy state in her body. But at this moment, no one could stop Yi Qingluo from going berserk. You fall into a deep sleep forever. A coquettish flame like the cry of a phoenix shot up into the sky. With a loud bang, the profound yin qi surrounding Yi Qingluo's body was completely blown away. Powerful energy surged around Yi Qingluo's body. Under that raging flame, young Lady Peach Blossom's figure was flickering, like a sharp cold ray, like a 1,000-year-old frost, piercing through everyone's eyes. She held the glower flame fan in one hand, slowly pointing it at Huang Wuyo. That glower flame fan carried a piercingly cold and majestic profound energy, surging like a wave. Bam! There was no hesitation or pause at all. Under the coquettish and glaring profound qi, the glower flame fan on the young lady's fingertips was like a poisonous snake swaying, outlining a flaming tail. My precious daughter, do you think this level can hurt me? Huang Wuyo's eyes widened, bloodshot red. His face was sinister as he shouted angrily. Under the entanglement of the God Emperor's seal, countless profound yin qi was released. The moment the two terrifying forces collided in mid-air, a terrifying aura burst forth. As if one could vaguely hear that not far away. There was a faint cracking sound coming from the huge stone tablet. When the two energies collided, Huang Wuyo's heart felt like it was being torn apart. His entire body seemed to be bound by a huge force, as if it wanted to devour his everything. For thousands of years, even when he was facing Fenggu, he had never felt such a pressing feeling. And now, facing Yi Qingluo, the daughter who he had always treated as the divine phoenix profound jade heart's vessel, the prophesied tool to obtain the world. It actually made him, for the first time in his life, feel a sense of oppression. He couldn't wait any longer. He had no more time. Never mind, as long as he could break this damned seal and regain his freedom. Even if he hadn't recovered his full strength. He had the absolute confidence to make Yi Qingluo completely become a puppet that was controlled by him. A trace of ruthlessness flashed across Huang Wuyo's eyes at the thought of this. Yi Qingluo didn't stop after that strike as she launched another attack. The profound radiance that resembled a phoenix spreading its wings contained terrifying killing intent that interweaved into a sharp blade that could take away a person's life. Her stance, it was clear that he wanted to kill him by force. This time Huang Wuyo had no intention of dodging. But when Yi Qingluo went up to meet him, the mysterious yin qi that enveloped his body suddenly turned into strands of black threads that merged with the raging flames. Dense streams of light interweaved with the raging flames. Without the protection of the mysterious yin qi, Huang Wuyo let out a groan. That sinister and twisted face twisted into a ball due to the pain, and his entire body began to curl up slightly. He didn't have the mysterious yin qi as a shield. He was thoroughly enjoying the pain of being entangled by the God Emperor's seal. However, under the extreme pain, the corners of Huang Wuyo's mouth slowly curled up into a smile. That smile was so strange that it made one's heart turn cold. Chapter 52-57. Yi Qingluo frowned slightly. Did Huang Wuyo still have any tricks up his sleeves? Her long and narrow eyes narrowed as her fingertips lightly tapped the air. The power of the glowing flame fan, the terrifying and dense profound energy, slowly rippled out in the air. Yi Qingluo, don't go near him. A weak voice came from not far away. It was Zhu Wuxing. His scorching cold eyes congealed on Yi Qingluo, focused and serious. 10,000 years ago, other than the one who gets you, gets the world. Actually, there's still the second half of the prophecy. Zhu Wuxian's words not only made Yi Qingluo look towards him. Even Huang Wuyo, who was smiling weirdly, looked over. There was a second half to the prophecy? What did that mean? The second half is... Zhu Wuxian looked at Yi Qingluo as he spoke out word by word. Phoenix girl descending from the heavens, the awakening of the phoenix is about to destroy the world. Impossible. Huang Wuyo roared in anger, his eyes bloodshot. His body, which was curled up under the seal, was extremely tense and trembling. It was like a demon that was about to break free from its shackles in rage. The awakening of the phoenix, the destruction of the world? just based on Yiqing Luo. How could he possibly destroy Wanshi? How could someone like her, who valued relationships and loyalty so much, destroy the world? Chu Wuxin said mockingly, the prophecies of the illusion race have never been successful. Back then, after Venerable Carefree obtained the first clue, he exterminated the entire illusion race. How did he know the second half of the prophecy? Then how did you know? Huang Wuyo was furious. Back then Huang Wuyo had gone back to find the illusion race. It was because he believed in the prophecy of the illusory race. Now that he heard Zhu Wuxin's words, it was completely different from the prophecy he had heard. His confidence and belief that he would soon be able to control all the worlds in the world also showed signs of collapsing at this moment. The one who obtained the Phoenix Lady would obtain the world. The awakening of the Phoenix would destroy the world. These two prophecies. There were two completely different results. He had painstakingly planned all of this, and he had even given up on the warmth that he had once wanted for a moment. He wholeheartedly lured the so-called Phoenix Lady, which was Yiqing Luo, into this world. All for the sake of obtaining Yiqing Luo, to obtain the myriad worlds. But, now, this Phoenix girl that he had painstakingly designed, the one who could make him stand above all worlds, instead he became the person who destroyed the world. It was also to destroy the person he wished for. No. Absolutely impossible. He would absolutely not let Yiqing Luo become the person who would destroy the world. What he wanted was for her to become his tool. The ruthlessness and profound yin qi in Huang Wuyo's eyes intensified. Her eyes were almost covered with a layer of deep darkness. Meanwhile, the mysterious yin qi, which had turned into countless thin threads, suddenly twisted. The thin threads, carrying with them a ferocious and terrifying power, twisted and spiraled, forming a strange totem. The densely packed streams of black light were exceptionally obvious under the blazing flames. That complicated totem was clearly reflected in Yiqing Luo's eyes. The girl's long and narrow eyes flickered with a cold light, like ice falling from the sky, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. Huang Wuyo had always been good at using sinister and cunning methods. Especially, he knew all kinds of ancient forbidden techniques, forbidden spells, forbidden formations, and other unorthodox things. This totem, she was afraid. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed dangerously. Her fingertips moved swiftly. The glower flame fan spun out a fire dragon, bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced towards that totem. Boom! A deafening explosion was heard. The entire space seemed to have exploded. The raging flames spun rapidly and started to distort. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-58. Her profound energy was unable to get close to that distorted totem. Just at this moment. Ah! A crisp child's voice was heard from nowhere. After Yiqing Luo retracted her profound energy, she saw two black figures descending from the sky from the distorted totem. Then it smashed heavily into the distorted spatial light wave and rolled a few times in a row. The distorted totem turned into densely packed black rays of light. Like a broken spider web, it spread out densely. Yiqing Luo's vision, when it met those two figures, her pupils congealed. The expression on her face instantly tensed up. She didn't have time to think. She had already leapt up as her figure speedily headed towards the direction of that totem. Her hand was just about to touch those two figures. A loud boom was heard. A burst of valiant profound yin qi brushed past her arm, bringing along a piercingly cold gloomy malevolence. Those two figures were firmly bound in midair by two balls of profound yin qi. Raging flames surged. The profound yin qi's undulations were extremely messy. Yiqing Luo congealed her eyes as she stared intently at those two figures as her voice sunk slightly. Huang Wuyo, what are you trying to do? Huang Wuyo's face turned pale as cold sweat kept dripping down. But he still grinned widely as he gave a horrifying and crazy smile. He forced himself to take a breath as he looked at the two figures entangled in the profound yin qi as he laughed coldly. This seat admires you very much, my precious daughter. If you're willing to become this seat's assistants, I believe. This seat will dote on you, this daughter. Very few people are able to force this seat to such a state. Although he was smiling, the tone in his words was incomparably cold with a hint of viciousness. Yiqing Luo's expression darkened as her gaze swept past those two figures as she spoke with some ridicule. Dote on your daughter? Your current behavior makes me very suspicious. Are you able to be a good father and dote on me? She clenched the glower flame fan in her hands tightly, You pulled Ling Long here to make use of Ling Long to threaten me? Yes, Ling Long, Huang Wuyo's biological daughter. Princess Ling Long of the secluded palace. That her half-sister. Right now it was being entangled by Huang Wuyo's mystical Yin energy. Earlier, Huang Wuyo had used the mysterious Yin energy to execute a forbidden spell to summon Ling Long. Yiqing Luo didn't quite understand. Why did Huang Wuyo summon Ling Long over? Especially, Ling Long had been summoned, and the other small figure was none other than Fengxi. Big sister. After hearing Yiqing Luo's voice, the two little people who were entangled by the mysterious Yin Qi painfully spat out two words. They all looked towards Yiqing Luo. Her face was filled with pain and bewilderment. He had no idea what was going on. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk by several degrees as the dim light in her eyes fluctuated. She pursed her lips and made her voice calm down. Don't worry, sister will save you right now. Say. Huang Wuyo scoffed lightly as his face was filled with ridicule. You're thinking too simply. His gaze swept past Yiqing Luo greedily. My good daughter, to this seat she no longer has any use, so naturally she will no longer receive this seat's love. But you're different. Your intelligence, your ability will be this seat's best aid. This seat will naturally. While you still have value, I will give you a father's love. Huang Wuyo's words were extremely straightforward. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-59. There was no emotion in his words at all. As though no matter who it was in his eyes, they were just tools that could be used. If they had no value, then they could be abandoned anytime. Yiqing Luo laughed when she heard that. Her long and narrow eyes stared coldly at Huang Wuyo. The coldness in her eyes made her look extremely sharp. Then what makes you think that I am willing to be your tool? Her pink lips curved slightly as though she was smiling. However, the coldness in her eyes caused her smile to be even more horrifying and cold. As for me, I actually have something in common with you. She scoffed lightly as her words were icy cold. I only want to control my life in my own hands. When Huang Wuyo heard that, he laughed sinisterly and sharply. That laughter was so ear-piercing that it made one's hair stand on end. The more he laughed, the higher the frequency of the vibration in his chest, as though he was trying his best to endure the pain in his body. As for Fengxi and Ling Long, who were entangled by the two balls of profound Yin Qi, they were howling in pain along with Huang Wuyo's ear-piercing laughter. Children had always been afraid of pain. Towards Huang Wuyo's toughness, they couldn't take it at all. CC. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she looked at Fengxi's face, which was filled with pain. Her brows knitted even tighter. Huang Wuyo listened to the child's low moans and miserable cries, and heard Yiqing Luo's low cry as he laughed even more savagely. Ever since Ling Long was born, this seat had already cast a master and servant forbidden curse on her. As long as this seat is willing, I can summon her anytime and anywhere. Master-servant forbidden spell? When she heard these words, Yiqing Luo's expression suddenly darkened. What kind of beast was he to cast such a forbidden spell on his own biological daughter? Summon her anytime and anywhere? What did he treat Ling Long as? As though he could see Yiqing Luo's anger and doubts. Huang Wuyo's smile became even more sinister. I allowed Ling Long to be born because I wanted to see if my other children, other than my and Fengji's bloodline, which can form the divine phoenix profound heart jade, could also possess the divine phoenix profound heart jade. He sighed softly as his tone was filled with pity. What a pity! Ling Long has disappointed this seat. Fa father? Ling Long's voice was hoarse as she listened to Huang Wuyo's cold voice, which she couldn't understand at all. Her heart was filled with panic and fear. But she was also clear that the person who made her so miserable and afraid was her father. However, it doesn't matter. After all, he is a descendant of this great one's bloodline. He will more or less be of some use to this great one. Huang Wuyo cast a sharp glance at Ling Long. Thick profound Yin Qi entangled Ling Long and sent her towards Huang Wuyo's direction. She was so angry that her eyes turned red as she struggled with all her might while shouting Ling Long's name. Ling Long was scared out of her wits as she looked at this father who she seldom saw but treated her very well and was very gentle. But now he had such a hideous and terrifying smile. This seat's original intention was to summon Ling Long over. I didn't expect that child from the Feng family would forcefully follow me. Huang Wuyo clicked his tongue. You Feng family people are so troublesome. So sentimental at such a young age. And the consequence of this is... He smiled maliciously. He has become a tool for this seat to restrain you. Chapter 5260. Huang Wuyo's words made Yiqing Luo understand the reason why Feng Shi was summoned here. It was probably because, when Huang Wuyo used the forbidden spell to summon Ling Long to this sealed grounds, Feng Shi was by the side. She didn't know what method she used, but she was brought into the sealed grounds together with Ling Long. She squinted her long and narrow eyes as her gaze met with Feng Shi's undetectable gaze. She gave a comforting look, indicating to Feng Shi not to panic. Then he turned his gaze to Ling Long, who had been sent to Huang Wuyo by the profound Yin energy and was standing very close to him. She was secretly guessing what scheme Huang Wuyo was trying to use Ling Long to complete. "My dear daughter, don't have any crooked ideas." Huang Wuyo grinned eerily as that pair of sinister and scarlet eyes revealed a sinister cold glint. "Now there's no way for you to turn back." Just as he finished his sentence, bam! The surging wave was like a surging huge wave, bringing along the majestic profound energy as it crashed onto the surrounding profound waves. The thin mysterious Yin Qi, which had been scattered by the attack, suddenly grew thicker. The thick black Qi filled the entire area in front of Yiqing Luo. It covered the sky full of raging flames. Yiqing Luo thought that she had gone blind for a moment. However, this darkness only lasted for a moment. After the thick black Qi surged like waves. Not long later, the raging flames surged up again, suppressing the thick black profound Yin Qi. The two forces tangled with each other in midair, killing each other. The two terrifying forces clashed against each other. The raging profound waves in the air were vibrating. And it was at this moment when the raging flames intertwined. Yiqing Luo saw, Ling Long's tiny body floated in front of Huang Wuyo. Her four limbs seemed to be bound by something as they were wide open, unable to move at all. That pair of black bright eyes widened in disbelief as she looked ahead with some fear and uneasiness. She wanted to struggle but had no energy to move. Her tiny body was in the thick black profound Yin Qi. The vast and terrifying energy kept colliding between the two forces. Yiqing Luo. Under the onslaught of this boundless and terrifying power, the man's cold and weak voice came from behind. Yiqing Luo abruptly turned her head back. Unbeknownst to her, Zhu Wuxin was being supported by a member of the illusion race. That cold and handsome face seemed a little pale under the raging flames that filled the sky. Yiqing Luo frowned. "Isn't it better to stay at your clansman's side? Right now you are the only hope of the illusion tribe. How can you be so willful and not care about your own body?" Zhu Wuxin's dark eyes brightened slightly. "You're still worried about me, Yiqing Luo?" She didn't have the time to argue with him about this kind of meaningless question. She retracted her gaze and looked in the direction of Huang Wuyo. His mind was spinning rapidly as he tried to think of a way to rescue Feng Shi and Ling Long from Huang Wuyo's hands. Behind him, Zhu Wuxin's indifferent voice sounded again. "If I'm not wrong, revered warriorless wants to use this young lady as a sacrifice to break the seal." "Sacrificial offerings?" Yiqing Luo's heart tightened. "What do you mean?" "Since revered warriorless is able to condense his soul consciousness and break free from the seal, using his human form to meet us, that's enough to prove that he has the ability to break this barrier." Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord D. Zun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord D. Zun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5261. Zhu Wuxian's words made Yiqing Luo's pupils shrink slightly. Her brows were tightly knitted as her eyes were filled with sharpness. "What you mean is, there's another reason why he hasn't broken the seal yet?" Zhu Wuxian's gaze shot towards Huang Wuyo. "He should be waiting to absorb enough energy so that he can break the seal with his peak energy to be reborn." Peak energy. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened. She understood. Zhu Wuxian meant Huang Wuyo had yet to break the seal because his current energy had not recovered to the state back then. He was conserving his energy, making use of this huge forbidden curse to give his soul and his body, which had been sealed for thousands of years, a brand new state. But now Huang Wuyo wanted to directly break the seal? Under this kind of condition where his soul was injured and his soul was injected with poison, break the seal? No wonder. Huang Wuyo had just said that she was forcing him. Huang Wuyo was forced by him to break the seal in advance. And this opportunity to break the seal, could it be related to Ling Long? Otherwise, based on Huang Wuyo's character, how could he possibly cast the so-called master and servant forbidden curse on Ling Long? And at such a critical juncture, he even exhausted his energy to summon Ling Long over? All these thoughts started to form in her mind bit by bit. She also understood the cause and effect of everything. She raised her eyes as her vision fell onto the little girl who had a painful expression. Ling Long didn't know what her father wanted to do to her. Her eyes were misty with tears as she looked at Huang Wuyo pitifully, attempting to get a little bit of pity from him. But the little girl's eyes were blurred with tears. The only thing that could be seen was the sinister, twisted, and malicious smile on his face. Suddenly Ling Long's mind buzzed. Vaguely, she seemed to hear a soft voice, like a gentle breeze, dispelling the pain in her body, ringing in her mind. Yes, it was her mind, not her ears. As though a voice had appeared out of thin air in her mind. Ling Long, that voice was calling her name. Ling Long went into a blank as her heart was shocked. This was... Sister. It's me. That voice gently rang. Don't say anything, listen to sister. Ling Long's tiny body trembled slightly. Do you trust me? The girl asked in a gentle voice. Ling Long endured the pain in her body and answered in her heart, I do. The girl smiled. Be good. Close your eyes and have a good sleep. When you wake up, everything will be over. Sleep? How was she supposed to sleep? The energy surrounding her seemed to want to suck her dry. Her pain was unbearable. But listening to the girl's gentle voice, Ling Long couldn't help but want to believe it. Her tear-stained eyes trembled as she closed them. In the instant that he closed his eyes, Yi Zichen's expression changed. As she breathed, she seemed to smell a faint medicinal fragrance. In the next instant, she lost all consciousness and senses and fell into a deep slumber. Huang Wuyo was currently injecting profound yin energy into Ling Long's body. Suddenly, the little person who was struggling in the mysterious yin qi stopped struggling and became motionless. He paused for a moment and sent out his mysterious yin qi. He discovered that Ling Long had completely lost consciousness. His brows creased slightly as an ominous premonition arose in his heart. He suddenly raised his head and looked towards Yiqing Luo. Coincidentally, he met with the young lady's narrow, slightly curved eyes. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5262. That pair of eyes was like a vast starry sky, twinkling with stars. Between the ripples of light, there were spots of cold light, revealing a sharp, sharp edge. Huang Wuyo realized something. Swiftly carrying Ling Long, he released an even thicker profound yin qi, wrapping Ling Long up tightly. Bam! A strong and majestic profound ray surged over. The raging flame was like a fire dragon, or a phoenix spreading its wings. It was especially obvious under the fiery red sky. The young lady in peach blossom robes and jet black hair, under the raging flame, was as red as fire. Her slender, jade-like fingers held a devouring flame fan that was filled with raging flames. In a split second, like a rainbow, it exploded. The young lady's actions were extremely fast, and she was totally unafraid of the surrounding profound yin qi. He forcefully used his own body to knock away the mysterious yin energy that filled the sky as he flew towards Huang Wuyo to attack him. The glower flame fan split the wind in waves. Yiqing Luo's approach was not obstructed at all. If it wasn't for the close distance, Huang Wuyo could see Yiqing Luo's resolute and icy cold eyes, but with a slight hint of pain. He thought. Yiqing Luo had no feeling towards his profound yin qi's corrosion. Earlier, Yiqing Luo had obviously sensed his intention to use the profound yin qi to control her. This caused his profound yin qi to be unable to harm Yiqing Luo. But now Yiqing Luo actually took the initiative to knock against his profound yin qi. Was she trying to save Ling Long by force? She was willing to sacrifice herself. Huang Wuyo's eyes shot out a malicious glint. The profound yin qi around him became thicker. The moment Yiqing Luo rushed over, she immediately sucked Ling Long, who was wrapped like a cicada pupa, into his palm. Even though her limbs were tightly bound by the God Emperor seal, he still held on to Ling Long's arm firmly. That tiny figure was faintly discernible under the thick darkness. But he did not continue to do anything to Ling Long. But at the moment when Yiqing Luo's target was Ling Long, the overwhelming profound yin qi was like a tidal wave, entangling towards Yiqing Luo. But the profound yin qi's entanglement was just a pile of air. The girl with black hair and peach-colored clothes disappeared into the darkness. Huang Wuyo's expression stiffened slightly, as if he had suddenly recalled something, causing his expression to change greatly. However, he did not have time to react. The next moment, the girl's cool and clear voice reached his ears. Have you reacted? Unfortunately, it's too late. That voice was so close to him. Shockingly, it came from right beside him. At the same time, a chilling killing intent was transmitted over Yiqing Luo, who possessed the Azure Dew bracelet. On top of that, he also knew one of the 5 ghosts' ancient secret arts, the teleportation secret art. Her target had never been Linglong from the start. Was him. Huang Wuyo was infuriated. This Yiqing Luo, was she fooling him? Did she think it would be that easy to kill him? What a joke. Huang Wuyo thought that he understood Yiqing Luo very well and thought that he had guessed correctly about Yiqing Luo, so that now he was both embarrassed and annoyed. There was only one thought in his mind. That was to make Yiqing Luo's motive fail. 10,000 years ago, he lost to Feng Gu because of a moment of soft-heartedness. 10,000 years later, he absolutely could not lose to Feng Ji's daughter, his own daughter. Huang Wuyo's throat exploded with a hoarse roar. The vast profound yin qi crazily surged towards Yiqing Luo. The overbearing aura which bared its fangs and brandished its claws seemed to want to swallow Yiqing Luo. But which was the moment when Huang Wuyo raged and launched his attack. The young lady's pink lips curled up bit by bit. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5263. She raised her hand. Her palm was covered with a layer of blood stains. The traces of blood were distinct on her fair and delicate palm, outlining a totem that wasn't too complicated, but it was hard to understand. Indistinctly, it seemed as though a phoenix was spreading its wings in the palm, flashing its dazzling tail. That was the God Emperor's blood. Huang Wuyo's expression was so dark that it seemed as though water could drip out. This Yiqing Luo actually thought of using the God Emperor's blood to condense the God Emperor's inheritance power in an attempt to injure him. He had a good daughter, her brain was really quick. Huang Wuyo's expression was sinister as his eyes were filled with a haze of viciousness. Don't belittle me. He gave a shrill cry as a thick profound yin qi suddenly surged and the rising and explosive aura instantly attacked Yiqing Luo. He had also successfully imprisoned Yiqing Luo's hand firmly. Huang Wuyo laughed sinisterly, but before he could say a word, suddenly, a weak fluctuation made him turn his gaze towards that direction. He saw that tiny figure was pulling Linglong out from the profound yin qi which he had no time to care about. The little boy's little hand held Linglong's little hand tightly, and after pulling her to his side, he immediately turned around and ran towards the direction of the Illusion clan. Huang Wuyo's pupils contracted. Linglong. Huang Wuyo, your opponent is me. The young lady's clear voice was as clear as water. Just as Huang Wuyo was attempting to chase after Feng Shi, her power suddenly wrapped around Huang Wuyo, preventing him from moving. Feng Shi was very smart. He knew that as long as he entered the protection circle of the Illusion clan, he and Linglong would be safe for the time being. Huang Wuyo was indeed pinned down by Yiqing Luo. Huang Wuyo's guess right from the start was actually correct. Yiqing Luo's motive was only to save Linglong from the start, and what she relied on was Huang Wuyo's conceit. Moreover, her plan had succeeded. Huang Wuyo's conceit made him believe in his own judgment, which gave her the opportunity to take advantage of. Her repeated provocations had already disrupted Huang Wuyo's rhythm, and the reason why she thought of using her blood to intimidate Huang Wuyo was actually because of Huang Wuyo. Huang Wuyo didn't show it, but Yiqing Luo could clearly feel Huang Wuyo's fear towards the God Emperor seal. The Divine Emperor seal was a seal that his mother had used up all her strength to set up. She kept thinking about it. His mother's power had suppressed Huang Wuyo. Then, as the daughter of the Divine Emperor and the inheritor of the Divine Emperor's legacy, would she also have some influence on Huang Wuyo? Since he had a guess in his heart, he would act on it. Yiqing Luo used her God Emperor blood to attack Huang Wuyo. As expected, it caused Huang Wuyo to retaliate. Huang Wuyo had never expected that the situation, which had been under his control, would develop to such an extent. He stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo as though he was in a state of rage. What a good Feng Qing Luo. You've really completely infuriated this seat. When he called Yiqing Luo, it was no longer a disgusting term like baby daughter. He no longer called her by her surname of Yi. Instead, he directly called out her current name. Feng family Feng Qing Luo. It could be seen how angry Huang Wuyo was right now. Yiqing Luo stopped Huang Wuyo, and on seeing that the two little people had entered the illusory clan's area, she then guarded against Huang Wuyo's attack and leapt to a safer place. Chapter 5264. Do you think that after scheming against me, I will still give you a chance to escape? Huang Wuyo was infuriated as his emotions became more and more violent. The profound yin qi became more and more chaotic. The raging flames in the entire sealed space started to surge more and more violently. Yiqing Luo stepped on the flaming dragon as her pink dress fluttered under the raging flames. The flames which were emitted from her body collided with the profound yin qi, giving off an intense sizzling sound. Huang Wuyo was infuriated as his face contorted, as though he was going to perish together with his opponent, emitting an intense murderous aura as he drove the profound yin qi towards Yiqing Luo. The majestic profound yin qi was filled with murderous intent. This was all the original plans had failed, hence he flew into a rage out of humiliation, intending to drag her to hell together? Yiqing Luo ridiculed silently as she looked at Huang Wuyo vigilantly, speedily avoiding his attack range as she searched for the safest place to land. She didn't feel that Huang Wuyo was willing to die. Would he be willing to perish together with her? To Huang Wuyo, there was nothing in this world that was more important than him. To let him sacrifice his life in exchange for hers? How could that be possible? So it was impossible for Huang Wuyo to risk his life. This was what Yiqing Luo was thinking. But unfortunately, her guess seemed to be wrong. At the instance when Yiqing Luo evaded, Huang Wuyo's profound yin qi was like a black dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it approached Yiqing Luo speedily. He totally disregarded the encroachment of the God Emperor's sealing power. The surging profound yin qi seemed to have filled every inch of his body. Rumble, the profound yin qi collided heavily against the surrounding raging flames. In a split second the airwaves surged like rolling waves. The entire sealed space. It set off a raging wave. As though two whirlpools were formed, desperately absorbing the remaining living beings in the seal. The people from the illusory clan were obviously greatly affected. Several illusory clan members were forced to spit out a large mouthful of blood from the corner of their lips under the two raging forces. As for the others, some of them had pale faces as though they could not hold on any longer, while some of them had a solemn expression with a burning gaze. But from that icy cold gaze, one could tell that they were also affected by the two forces. But, fortunately, when everyone noticed the discomfort, Huan III's fastest reaction was to hug the two of them into his embrace and inject profound energy to protect their heart veins and profound jade heart. Only then did they avoid being corroded by the strange energy. But, if this continued, he was afraid that they would not be able to hold on for much longer. The few people from the illusory race who were not too affected looked at each other and saw through each other's thoughts. He had to think of a way to leave this place. At this moment Yiqing Luo's expression wasn't particularly good. Huang Wuyo's target was him. When the two forces collided, a majestic strength qi burst out. She was the one who was affected the most. She felt as if there was something heavy in her chest that was pressing down on her. It made her feel extremely oppressed and uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she tried hard to adjust her state. Her fingertips moved lightly as it formed a protective shield in front of her. Huang Wuyo sneered coldly. Towards Yiqing Luo's resistance, he didn't have the slightest bit of hesitation and directly attacked. His stance was as if he didn't care about his life and was using his life to fight with her. After a few rounds of exchanges, the intense murderous aura was boiling. Just as Yiqing Luo found an opportunity to aim at Huang Wuyo's vital point, at that instance, suddenly the profound yin qi in front of her distorted. Chapter 5265. A loud buzzing sound exploded in Yiqing Luo's mind. Her slender brows creased tightly as she went into a momentary daze from the sudden explosion. That sound was like a sharp blade, piercing right into her eardrums. It was unbearable. She was very clear. This was Huang Wuyo who made use of the profound yin qi to create a sharp aura which formed into an explosion. He was trying to do what? Yiqing Luo's narrow eyes squinted dangerously as her expression congealed slightly as she gathered her mental energy in an attempt to resist against the buzzing explosion in her mind. But it was only for this instance of absent-mindedness. The profound yin qi which was coming towards her turned into a raging wave as it whizzed towards her. The sharp and piercing aura almost swallowed Yiqing Luo entirely. No matter how fast Yiqing Luo's reaction was. By the time she regained her senses and wanted to avoid it, it was already too late. Huang Wuyo, who was in a rage, unleashed his profound energy which was equivalent to perishing together with his opponent. Even if Yiqing Luo wasn't affected by this explosion, she didn't dare to guarantee that she would be able to withstand this attack from Huang Wuyo. Not to mention, Yiqing Luo's current mental energy was totally unable to gather. From the start when the sudden explosion exploded in her mind, she was stunned for a moment, but now she was clear of her own body's condition. However, that piercing sound that seemed to want to pierce through her soul and agitate her heart was still there, affecting her. Yiqing Luo. Not too far away, Zhu Wuxian's cold yet worried voice rang urgently. Following that was the flustered voices of the people from the illusion clan who stopped Zhu Wuxian. Yiqing Luo swiftly stretched out her hand as she pressed on the azure dew bracelet. The flowing red flames were like red lightning as it gave off a dazzling radiance. She didn't dare to guarantee that she was able to withstand Huang Wuyo's self-damaging attack. But, at least she couldn't let herself be hurt by Huang Wuyo. Just at this moment, a figure flashed past Yiqing Luo's eyes. Following that, she heard a dull moan. The body of the man in blue robes with a gentle and refined face shook violently. Raging flames flew as the blue robe flew. Under the lingering flames, the embroidery on the blue robe appeared extremely bright. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered. Her eyes, which were as bright as the stars, reflected the man's clear, gentle and handsome face. Her eyebrows and eyes were as clear as jade, as if she was bathing in the spring breeze. His clear, glass-like eyes stared deeply at the young girl. It was as if he wanted to carve the young girl deep into his mind. That kind of focus, that kind of deep love. It was as if she was the only one in his world. Yiqing Luo's throat tightened. Gu Jingyu? In front of her, the man who stood in front of her and took all of Huang Wuyo's attacks without any protection was Gu Jingyu, who had been fighting with the illusion race. Gu Jingyu, who had lost all his emotions and became a killing machine for Huang Wuyo. But now, Gu Jingyu seemed to have recovered. Qing Luo? The man's firm and smooth voice was like a warm spring breeze, pleasant to the ear and gentle. However, the moment he opened his mouth, blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Yiqing Luo's brows creased tightly. What are you doing? Gu Jingyu's lips curled slightly, not caring about the blood that flowed out. He only wanted to give all his gentleness and affection to Yiqing Luo wholeheartedly. I have memories of everything that had happened during this period of time. His voice was still gentle, but his breathing was so weak that it seemed as though he would stop breathing in the next moment. Chapter 5266. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered as her throat felt dry. Gu Jingyu looked at her, strenuously but stubbornly curled his lips as he gave a gentle smile. I know, I have done quite a number of wrong things. Several times I almost hurt you. He closed his eyes, looking slightly tired but stubbornly. He wanted to open his eyes to look at her. The person I don't want to hurt the most is you. But he still did something to hurt Yiqing Luo. Or let Yiqing Luo into deep danger. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she shook her head. That's not your fault. All this was because Huang Wuyo. This couldn't be blamed on Gu Jingyu. She had never blamed Gu Jingyu. After all, the one who made you become like that was me. She lowered her head slightly as she sighed softly. A faint helplessness flashed past her brows. I should apologize to you for making you lose so much. Gu Jingyu shook his head gently. That pair of deep eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo's face, that kind of concentration and greed. His pale thin lips were stained with blood, which made his face, which was gradually turning pale, become ghastly pale. I don't blame you, that was my own choice. Gu Jingyu took a deep and shallow breath. Every breath he took, his brows creased, apparently in extreme pain. Yiqing Luo wanted to go up, to support Gu Jingyu's tottering body. Before she got close, she was stopped by Gu Jingyu. Don't come over. Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted. Gu Jingyu's attitude was rare, cold and persistent. Don't come over, don't give me the last tenderness. Don't let me till death still have thoughts about you. Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved, but she didn't know what to say. Looking at the young lady's face, that slightly struggling expression, Gu Jingyu gave a low laugh. A cough. More and more blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. Gu Jingyu. Mixed with a raging cold sharp voice, it was hard to conceal his anger. Huang Wuyo's voice was hoarse, almost crazy. This seat saved you that time, taught you to become a strong cultivator, gave you a supreme status. This is how you repay this seat? The man who was bound by the flames sealed by the divine emperor. His face, which was exposed outside the flames, was almost distorted beyond recognition. Gu Jingyu didn't turn around. He didn't even look at him. The corners of his lips twitched slightly. Between his gentle brows, a hint of mockery flashed past. Even that light and soundless voice carried a hint of self-mockery. Master, do you really think that I don't know anything? You saved me and taught me, just because I am a tool that can unlock your seal. He chuckled, but there was no hint of a smile in his eyes. You and I are just using each other. How can we talk about repayment? Huang Wuyo's face contorted as he roared in anger. It is your honor that this seat has taken a liking to you. This is not a reason for you to betray this seat. Huang Wuyo roared. It was the mysterious xianxia that was contending with the raging flames. All of a sudden it turned into a huge wave. Since you already know what you're good for now, it's time to play your part. Bang! As soon as Huang Wuyo finished speaking, a loud explosion rang out. Yiqing Luo had yet to react. In front of her, the gentle and graceful young master of an aristocratic family, who had a gentle smile on his face, was instantly engulfed by the mysterious yin energy, and it was at this moment. Yiqing Luo clearly saw. Gu Jingyu's back was already drenched in blood. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5267. The surging profound yin qi was like a sharp blade, cutting Gu Jingyu's skin. The thick profound yin qi drew a complicated and strange totem on his back. It was like a whirlpool gathering behind him. Yiqing Luo's heart was heavy. No wonder he didn't allow her to get close. Just afraid, she discovered something strange about him. He was also afraid that she would be engulfed by the profound yin qi that he couldn't control. Thus, he would rather suffer great pain than let her find out about it. Ah! Suddenly, a scream was heard from the crowd. A child's crisp voice made Yiqing Luo regain her senses from the tightness in her heart. She looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw Linglong was once again lifted into mid-air by the profound yin qi. She was chasing after Linglong. The thick profound yin qi wrapped Linglong in it. Linglong was struggling in pain in the profound yin qi. She wanted to pounce forward. But how could she catch up to the profound yin qi? On the contrary, he was sent flying by the surging flames and the mysterious yin energy that came from the collision. Luckily, the people from the illusion clan still had some conscience as they caught Fengxi in time. Master, he wants to make use of Princess Linglong's blood to break out of the array. Gu Jingyu's breathing was tight as though he was holding on to his last breath. In the whistling air, his voice was so weak that it couldn't be heard clearly. Yiqing Luo clenched her fists when she heard that. Lead? I'm afraid Princess Linglong won't be able to live. Gu Jingyu shook his head strenuously. Bring them out of here now, leave the rest to me. What do you want to do? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes, not believing that Gu Jingyu had a way to suppress Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu lowered his head as he gave a forced smile. I know, as Master's disciple, and I've done so many things for Master, it's natural that you don't believe me. This has nothing to do with trust, but the current situation is to seal Huang Wuyo, or rather, to make Huang Wuyo fall into eternal slumber. Yiqing Luo walked towards Gu Jingyu. As for you, I might have guessed what you're planning. Gu Jingyu's gentle pupils shrank slightly. When Yiqing Luo walked right in front of him, his tottering body speedily retreated 2 steps. Because of this movement, it affected the wound on his back and he felt a heart-wrenching pain. It was as if thousands of sharp knives were cutting his skin. Huang Wuyo would never give you this chance, you're not his match. Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks and didn't go near Gu Jingyu. Her line of sight went past Gu Jingyu and landed on Huang Wuyo, who had a ferocious expression and was entangled with the power of the Divine Emperor's seal. If you want to live, then don't get involved. Since you can come in, you must have a way out. If you can take those people and leave this place. Chapter 5268. Whereas for someone like Huang Wuyo who only cared about benefits, he was able to let Linglong live without worries, enjoying the treatment of a princess and living till now. Other than Linglong, there were other uses. Yiqing Luo couldn't think of any other reasons. Earlier, after Gu Jingyu's reminder, Yiqing Luo instantly understood. Linglong was Huang Wuyo's direct descendant and the blood flowing in her body was Huang Wuyo's. Huang Wuyo must have thought of some way to make use of this point as a catalyst to break the God Emperor's seal. No wonder Huang Wuyo would cast a master and servant forbidden curse on Linglong. Separated by a seal, it could be said to be another space, but he was still able to summon Linglong out of thin air. It's too late. Gu Jingyu gave a low chuckle. That chuckle was like smoke, about to dissipate in the next instance. Yiqing Luo frowned and was just about to speak. She heard Gu Jingyu's low voice saying, I'm Master's tool. From the moment I stepped into this place, there's no way to turn back. He seemed to have difficulty breathing as he took a deep breath. To be able to wake up at the last minute to see you one last time, I have no regrets. His voice, word by word, seemed as though it would break any time. It was obviously difficult, but he was still trying his best to speak. Gu Jingyu you. Yiqing Luo heard Gu Jingyu's words, as though he was bidding farewell to her. Her brows creased even tighter as her peripheral vision saw the wisps of profound yin qi surging behind him, as her heart thumped hard. She stopped her voice and speedily approached Gu Jingyu as she stretched out her hand towards his back. His cold, bone-chilling hand gripped her wrist. At a close distance, Yiqing Luo raised her head and met with Gu Jingyu's gentle and clear eyes. Only she could faintly see the faint mist in between his eyes. Yiqing Luo, you must remember me. His words had just ended. Yiqing Luo felt a strong impact from where Gu Jingyu was holding her wrist. Immediately following that, she and Gu Jingyu were forcefully separated. Boom. The strong impact made Yiqing Luo's body fall backwards. She stabilized her figure when she hit the space barrier which was surrounded by raging flames. However, Gu Jingyu's entire body was sucked towards Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu. Yiqing Luo immediately wanted to rush towards Gu Jingyu's direction. However, the dense mysterious yin qi was like a sharp blade that cut through the raging flames in the sky. It stood in front of her, blocking her way. She wasn't sure if it was Yiqing Luo's misconception. Huang Wuyo's strength seemed to have become stronger, not allowing Yiqing Luo to think too much. The mysterious yin qi that was heading straight for her instantly turned into countless black threads that overlapped and intertwined in front of her eyes like shadows. At this moment, the Divine Emperor's sealing power was like a surging tidal wave, emitting a buzzing and explosive sound. Yiqing Luo's fingertips lifted slightly as she swiftly raised the glower flame fan to block off the fatal attack, while pulling out her attention to look at Huang Wuyo. On the other side, Gu Jingyu and Ling Long floated to the left and right of Huang Wuyo. The dense mysterious yin qi was like an iron chain binding them. But what made Yiqing Luo shocked was, under the guidance of Huang Wuyo's mysterious yin qi, the two of them on the left and right actually formed an extremely mysterious black light pillar. The direction that the light pillar headed towards. It was that piece of stone which was carved with a phoenix, which was also the stone tablet which was carved with the words Huang Wuyo's grave. The huge stone tablet, under the entanglement of the raging flames and mysterious yin qi, kept spinning crazily in midair. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5269. Even though they were separated by a long distance, Yiqing Luo could clearly feel that light pillar contained a powerful and boundless energy. If this went on, the Divine Emperor's seal would definitely collapse. Yiqing Luo's expression was solemn as her gaze turned towards Huang Wuyo. What on earth did he do? Could it be because of Ling Long and Gu Jingyu, he had obtained a new power? And this power was enough to go against the God Emperor's seal. Huang Wuyo was thinking of forcefully breaking the seal. Yiqing Luo realized Huang Wuyo's motive as her expression turned solemn. She squinted her long and narrow eyes as her fingertips moved and swiftly opened up a profound ray, enveloping that stone tablet, closely and speedily attacking Huang Wuyo, attempting to stop his actions. 3 bursts of energy, in this not considered small but not big space, collided with one another as it agitated the entire space's air. It seemed as though there was a faint profound wave rippling one after another. The people from the Illusion clan were obviously unable to hold on any longer as all of them relied on the illusory barrier to stabilize themselves. Some of them were even unable to stand properly. Ha! Huang Wuyo's sharp gaze fell onto Yiqing Luo, who was trying to stop him, as his lips curled into a sinister sneer. Following that, a loud rumbling sound was heard. That surging profound yin qi suddenly expanded rapidly as it shot towards Yiqing Luo. That momentum was filled with a piercingly cold murderous intent. It was as though a hand stretched out from hell trying to pull Yiqing Luo into hell. As the profound yin qi surged to the maximum, as though it was released to the maximum, that thick black yin qi was dyed with a layer of dark and unclear, totally undistinguishable strange flowing light. This sudden change in energy fluctuation made Yiqing Luo's face turn slightly pale as her petite body, which was suspended in midair, took 2 steps back. Apparently it was already a little strenuous. At the same time, Huang Wuyo's cold smile and the twisted expression on his face slowly grew bigger. His gaze congealed as he shot out a burst of thick black yin qi. Instantly, the sky filled with monstrous profound yin qi turned into a huge black dragon as it brandished its claws and extended its huge tongue, directly swallowing towards Ling Long. The other side. Gu Jingyu, whose entire body was dripping with blood, let out a painful groan as his whole body was filled with mysterious yin energy. Yiqing Luo could clearly see Gu Jingyu, who was held in midair by the mysterious yin energy, had the strange totems drawn by the mysterious energy on her back spread out bit by bit along with the mysterious energy, emitting a black glow. It flickered on and off like a mandala blooming in hell. It was so alluring that it was suffocating. A deafening explosion suddenly rang out from the three steels that were fighting against each other behind her. Yiqing Luo was pushed back 2 steps by the aftershock. The stone tablet was completely covered by the light pillar of mysterious qi. Crack. Vaguely, amidst the explosion, Yiqing Luo heard some shattering sounds. It was a seal. The Divine Emperor seal was about to collapse. It seemed like she was not the only one needed to undo the seal. Linglong and Gu Jinyu were also crucial. If he did not stop Huang Wuyo's evil technique, she had no way to protect the sealing stone tablet. Just as Yiqing Luo's vision was moving back and forth between Linglong and Gu Jinyu, a burst of golden light broke through the interweaving between the raging flames and the profound yin qi, charging straight towards Linglong. Let go of Linglong, no one is allowed to hurt Linglong. It was a crisp child's voice, but it was filled with extreme anger. 7th Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5270. Yiqing Luo turned her head and saw a small figure shooting towards Huang Wuyo like a cannonball. Feng Shi. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. Who else could it be if it wasn't Feng Shi? At this moment, Feng Shi was covered in a dazzling golden light, which circled around her body again and again. The dazzling golden profound light made him look extremely noble and unapproachable. Most importantly, the aura that Yiqing Luo sensed from Feng Shi was totally different from his usual self. Instead, it was a kind of energy wave which could explode the entire space, crazily crashing against the entire sealed space. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto Feng Shi's face. That golden light circulated. That young man's face was already delicate and handsome at such a young age. A totem which looked like a blooming cherry blossomed on the young man's forehead. That was God Emperor's imprint. That was the God Emperor's imprint, which would only appear after being recognized by the God Emperor's inheritance. She had one on her forehead. She had not expected that. Feng Shi's forehead would also have this totem. That meant that Feng Shi was also a descendant which was recognized by the ancient God Emperor and could accept the God Emperor's inheritance to become the next God Emperor's successor. Feng Shi usually didn't show much of herself. But this time, when Linglong met with danger, it completely stimulated Feng Shi's potential and also the God Emperor's imprint. But Feng Shi was after all just a child. Even if she stimulated her potential, it was like throwing an egg against a rock against Huang Wuyo. And Huang Wuyo would definitely not be soft-hearted towards Feng Shi. Seeing Feng Shi charging towards Huang Wuyo without any regard for the consequences, Yiqing Luo's fingertips clenched the glower flame fan and was about to protect Feng Shi. But, at the moment when Feng Shi exploded earlier, Yiqing Luo's attention was all on Feng Shi, so she didn't notice. The black light pillar which Huang Wuyo had condensed on the stone tablet was already shooting towards her direction. By the time Yiqing Luo wanted to save Feng Shi, it was already too late. She only felt a chill down her spine as a deathly chill seeped into her skin. There was a metallic taste in his throat, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. As for Feng Shi, under Huang Wuyo's sinister smile, the surging mysterious yin qi was like a huge palm that could take someone's life. Bit by bit, it slapped toward Feng Shi's head. This power fell. Feng Shi was either dead or crippled. However, it was too late for Yiqing Luo. Even if she ran at her fastest speed, she wouldn't be able to catch up. This moment of distraction gave Huang Wuyo a chance. Yiqing Luo couldn't evade it in time. The thick black mysterious yin qi became more and more violent. It almost suppressed the raging flames in the sealed space. Huang Wuyo stared greedily at the Divine Emperor's mark on Feng Shi's forehead with his sinister eyes, and there was wild joy in his eyes. Ah! I didn't expect to see a second descendant of the Feng family recognized by the Divine Emperor. The heavens are indeed kind to me. Even the heavens wish for me to leave this damned place. Huang Wuyo licked his dry lips, the fire in his eyes almost burning Feng Shi. The mysterious yin qi that seemed to have come from hell reached towards Feng Shi's face bit by bit. The fingertip landed on the Divine Emperor's mark. Feng Shi only felt as if a ball of ice had touched her skin, making her unable to move as if she had been frozen into ice. She wanted to struggle. But an inexplicable suction force was rapidly absorbing the energy in her body. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5271. Just at this moment. It was so quiet that only the painful panting of the crowd and Huang Wuyo's eerie laughter could be heard. The ferocious profound energy surged forward like a hot knife through butter. Feng Shi's tiny body, which was about to be crushed, suddenly felt light. The next moment his tiny body was hooked by a pair of soft hands. His entire body was pulled into a soft embrace. But the hand that was hooking his body was strangely cold. Even the embrace was not warm. But Feng Shi felt inexplicably at ease. It was as if all the fear and dread had dissipated at this moment. The bright golden light which was bursting out from his body gradually, slowly, calmed down. He blinked his big round eyes and stayed silent for a while in this ice-cold embrace. Then he suddenly reacted and struggled to get up. Ling Long. Just as he moved, a soft and cold hand covered his head and easily pressed him down. Don't move, I'm here. The clear and melodious voice was like warm spring water which seeped into Feng Shi's heart. His struggling movements stopped. His line of sight slowly turned towards the person who was holding him in her arms. A face was reflected in her big black and white eyes. She had a stunning, flamboyant, devastatingly beautiful face. And at this moment, on the other side, Yiqing Luo had no time to care about who this lady who suddenly appeared was. By the time she regained her senses, Huang Wuyo's profound yin qi had already cut a path through the majestic profound energy around her. The qi waves condensed from the mysterious yin qi rippled and rippled. When it got close to Yiqing Luo, instantly it turned into a turbulent rolling wave, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The young girl dodged in time. Her black hair and pink dress were blown up by the wind. She couldn't avoid it, but she must not give Huang Wuyo a chance to turn the tables. No matter from emotion or reason, Ling Long must not be the key to Huang Wuyo to break the seal. No matter from emotion or reason, Ling Long must not be the key to Huang Wuyo to break the seal. The sharp murderous intent, lingering with frost, surged and rushed towards Yiqing Luo from behind. Yiqing Luo endured the heaviness in her chest and the sweetness in her throat. Her fingertips flicked and formed a profound wave which rushed towards the profound yin qi which surrounded Ling Long. Bam! Rumble. The deafening explosion almost shattered the entire space. It was as if the surrounding flames were surging restlessly. The sealed space fluctuated, and the energy fluctuations also fluctuated chaotically. What? Huang Wuyo had thought that victory was within his grasp, but the complacent expression on his face froze in an instant. He widened his eyes and bared his teeth in anger as he looked in front of him. His line of sight was completely blocked by the raging flames. That profound yin qi which attacked Yiqing Luo, it seemed to be blocked by something. His power was also draining away. How could this be? Huang Wuyo's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. It was as if everything was slowly slipping away from his grasp. After a few breaths of time, the raging flames slowly sank. Under the surging flames, a blurry figure gradually appeared. The surging flames were like fire dragons, lingering and circling. A peerless figure that wore a violet-colored embroidered robe was faintly discernible. The strong wind surged, blowing up his sleeves, making a fluttering sound. A handsome, godlike man, carrying a pink black-haired young lady, took slow and steady steps, gradually walking into the eyes of the crowd. The man's entire body was emitting a chill which made one unable to look straight at him. Sharp, domineering like a blade's edge. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5272. Even the purifying flames of the divine emperor seal that filled the sky seemed to be blocked by an invisible force when they approached the man. Not to mention Huang Wuyo's mysterious yin qi. It couldn't touch the man at all. In front of him, the surging majestic power in the surroundings became a foil. The man's face was cold and emotionless. It was as if everything in front of him couldn't make any waves in his eyes. Only when he looked down and saw the young woman in his arms did the expression on his face soften a little. The way he held the girl was so gentle, as if he was holding the most precious treasure in the world. To him she was the most precious treasure. The man's thin lips were pressed together, and there was a hint of hostility in them. His eyes swept over a certain place. He raised his hand slightly, and a violent hurricane swept out from his wide sleeves. There was a loud swoosh. The hurricane surged. In the blink of an eye, Ling Long, who had fainted from the erosion of the mysterious yin qi, was slowly carried to Fengxi's direction by this force. The white-clothed woman, who looked like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world, extended her other hand and caught Linglong. In the process, Huang Wuyo sensed the man's intention and immediately released the mysterious xianxia, which rolled up a terrifying and powerful force, in an attempt to stop the man. But he didn't have the chance to stop him. The man moved his fingers and the purple light was dazzling. He moved slightly. That incomparably sharp attack cut through the mysterious xianxia, heading straight for Huang Wuyo. The mysterious xianxia was scattered almost instantly. Huang Wuyo's eyes widened. When he came to himself, he gathered more mysterious xianxia to form a protective shield in front of him. It was also because of Huang Wuyo's action. The surrounding mysterious xianxia that was fighting against the Divine Emperor's seal was completely destroyed. The overbearing aura of the raging flames gained the upper hand. The mysterious xianxia that wrapped around Gu Jingyu's body also slowly dispersed. Gu Jingyu's body lost its support and fell to the ground. Bang! That energy pierced through the mysterious xianxia and forcefully landed on Huang Wuyo's body. Huang Wuyo's limbs were bound by the Divine Emperor's seal, so he couldn't move or dodge. Even after withstanding this attack, he was still firmly bound in midair. Pooh! Huang Wuyo spat out a mouthful of blood. Xian. He gritted his teeth and spat out the other's name word by word. He stared fixedly at the figure who had suddenly appeared. His scarlet eyes were filled with hatred and anger towards the man, as well as disbelief, and also extreme panic and confusion. Yes, he was panicking. When facing this man, Huang Wuyo was flustered like never before. In the past, Huang Wuyo had heard of the rumors about the Dizun. For him, there was no one in the world who could enter his eyes. An unparalleled genius like him could only exist in this world. Therefore, even though the outside world was talking about his majesty as if he was a god, Huang Wuyo did not even put him in his eyes. Even if they fought later on, he felt that it was only because he was still sealed. If he was at his peak, he wouldn't even be afraid of a divine emperor, so why would he be afraid of a little kid? But at this moment, he was facing Xian directly. After feeling Xian's power, he started to panic. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please collect it gently. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please collect it gently. Chapter 5273. Xian. The sudden change and reversal, as well as that calming aura, made Yiqing Luo slightly stunned. Her fair little hand grabbed the man's lapel. She raised her head and met with that peerless elegance, the face which had been lingering in her heart. She blinked her eyes as her heart was indescribably touched. Xian. He could even find his way to this place. He was still the same as before. He was always able to save her when she was in the most danger, like a god descending from the sky when she needed him. The hand on her waist exerted a little more strength. The man's palm pinched her waist, and when his eyes met hers, his dark and deep voice carried a little threat and coldness. I'll deal with you later. It was rare that Yiqing Luo didn't refute. She obediently nestled in the man's arms and even slightly closed her eyes. Apparently, she was already exhausted to the extreme. And Xian's appearance made her tensed-up emotions relaxed at this moment. At the same time, the exhaustion of her body and mind also rushed up. Xian was both angry and distressed. Looking at the young lady's gorgeous face under the blazing flames, it looked pale and he couldn't bear to say a harsh word. He gently caressed the young lady's back, his mellow voice made one feel at ease. All right, I'm here, nothing will happen to them. Under the blazing flames, Yiqing Luo's pale pink lips slightly curved upwards, adding a weak and sickly look to the young lady. She naturally believed in Xian. Xian's arrival had basically set this ending. She knew. As long as he was here, it would definitely be as she wished, because he was Xian, her god. After appeasing the young lady, Xian slightly raised his eyes. His shimmering purple cold eyes stared indifferently at the shocked Huang Wuyo. He didn't put Huang Wuyo in his eyes at all. That attitude was still high and mighty, as though he was looking down at the ant Huang Wuyo. Xian, do you know who I am? When had Huang Wuyo ever suffered such treatment? He had endured the 10,000 years of imprisonment, but only this disdainful attitude made him unable to tolerate it. For him, tens of thousands of people were merely playthings in the palm of his hand. If he wanted to live, he would live. If he wanted someone dead, they would die. Apart from Feng Guo, no one else was worthy of his attention. A young man was trying to show off in front of him while he was sealed? How dare they look down on him? Diamo Xian's brows were calm and his eyes were indifferent. Who you are has nothing to do with this, Lord. He raised his hand slightly. The knuckles of her slender hands were distinct, just like the finest porcelain jade. Under the illumination of the raging flames, it seemed to emit a layer of velvet light. However, there was an inexplicable sinister coldness that caused one's heart to tremble. You hurt someone I care about, so it's your fault. His cold and emotionless voice had just fallen. A terrifying and majestic profound light burst out from it. The mystic rays were like a hot knife through butter. Even the surrounding sealing force of the divine emperor could not suppress them. Huang Wuyo's body was abruptly blasted into the air by this mystic ray, as though he was forcefully lifted up. Huang Wuyo's eyes were filled with horror. The way he looked at Diamo Xian was already unconcealable shock and horror. He didn't know how long it had been since he left the restraints of the divine emperor's seal. But the man in front of him could directly suppress the power of the divine emperor's seal. Chapter 5274. Although the power of the divine emperor's seal was still firmly imprisoning him. In other words, this man could shake the power of the divine emperor's seal. At this moment, Huang Wuyo completely faced Diamo Xian. No, he could not drag it any longer. This man had already exceeded his expectations. He absolutely could not allow his 10,000 years of planning to fail at the last moment. Huang Wuyo did not hesitate at all, nor did he have the chance to hesitate. Almost at the moment when Diamo Xian struck again. Under the double pressure of the divine emperor's seal and Diamo Xian's aura, Huang Wuyo's eyes widened and a large mass of black fog gushed out. That thick black fog was filled with a terrifying evil aura, as if it was filled with thousands of malicious and evil thoughts. Just a little bit of contact. The darkness in the depths of his heart seemed to be drawn out by something, bit by bit. Oh! The young girl in Diamo Xian's arms was being eroded by the evil thoughts, making her feel uncomfortable. It was as if a sharp claw had stretched out from the depths of her soul, pulling at her soul. This soft moan caused the cold and indifferent man's expression to instantly change. Diamo Xian looked down at the person in his arms. The young girl's gorgeous face was covered with a thin layer of sweat. Her brows were knitted tightly as if she was suffering from some kind of pain. Diamo Xian's brows tightened as he softly called out, "Little Luo." His voice was gentle, with a hint of heartache. His slender jade-like fingers gently covered the young girl's forehead. A faint and cool profound energy poured into the young girl's body through her brows. It dispelled the discomfort of the young girl being eroded by evil thoughts. But it was also because of Diamo Xian's distraction. The thick black fog that gushed out from Huang Wuyo's eyes turned into two smoke-like claws, as if in the void two sharp claws stretched out from the surging black fog. He actually used this kind of method to forcefully break the array. A cold voice, under the vast profound waves and various kinds of energy fluctuations, was extremely clear to the ear. That voice was cold and emotionless, but one could faintly hear the astonishment in it. This kind of method, which way? With Diamo Xian's help, Yiqing Luo regained her consciousness slightly and heard Zhu Wuxian's astonished words. Yiqing Luo frowned as she struggled to open her eyes. Adjusting the position of her head in Diamo Xian's arms, she glanced sideways and followed the sound. The sky was filled with energy fluctuations. It was the power of flames sealed by the divine emperor. It was Diamo Xian's dazzling profound energy. It was the thick, dark energy that surrounded Huang Wuyo. The three energies intertwined with each other, forming vortex-like holes one after another. It spread throughout the entire space. In Huang Wuyo's direction, there was a tall body hovering in the air. His body was gripped by two smoke-like claws, his limbs wide open as he faced Huang Wuyo. That body's back was facing Yiqing Luo. She could also clearly see, on his blood-stained back, there was a strange totem drawn on it that was giving off wisps of mysterious energy. It also made the totem look really devilish. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. "Gu Jingyu?" Diamo Xian's thin lips pursed slightly as his wide palm covered the young girl's eyes. His voice was deep. "It's too late, don't look." What he said was basically a fact that had already been set in stone. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped fiercely as it sunk. It's too late. What did that mean? Which meant Gu Jingyu, he couldn't be saved. Chapter 5275. Even Diamo Xian was at his wit's end? Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved as she wanted to say something. But when the words reached his mouth, he couldn't spit out a single word. His throat was dry and hoarse. What should she say? What could he say? If Diamo Xian could save her, he would do his best to save her. Diamo Xian had already said that it was too late. Then there was really no other way. Bang, rumble. A deafening explosion and the sound of something collapsing echoed in the space. Nestled in Diamo Xian's arms, Yiqing Luo could feel the earth shaking and the mountains swaying. Her eyes were sealed by Diamo Xian and she could not see anything. He could only rely on sound to sense his surroundings. Under the protection of Diamo Xian's aura, Yiqing Luo could only faintly sense that the fluctuation in the air seemed to have increased by a lot. It was as if countless forces were contending against each other. However, he sensed it carefully. But he couldn't feel anything. It felt like a long time had passed, but it also felt like a blink of an eye. When Diamo Xian's slender hand moved away from Yiqing Luo's eyes, the first thing Yiqing Luo did was to look towards the direction of Huang Wuyo. The surging and twisting flames were constantly intertwining. The person who was supposed to be in the flames had already disappeared. Yes, Huang Wuyo had disappeared. Yiqing Luo swiftly searched the surroundings. He did not find any trace of Huang Wuyo. Even the creepy and cold mysterious Yin Qi had completely disappeared, and there was not even a trace of its aura left. It was as if Huang Wuyo had never existed. And Gu Jingyu had also disappeared. He ran away. Diamo Xian's voice was clear. You're injured, there's no need to chase after him for now. He can't run away. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as her little head leaned slightly on the man's shoulder, silently nodding her head. He ran away. This also meant that Huang Wuyo had broken through the array. Breaking the formation meant that Huang Wuyo's strength had been restored. Her current condition was not optimistic. If he hastily chased after Huang Wuyo, he might not even be able to catch up. Even if she managed to catch up to him, she had no way of dealing with him. Since Diamo Xian said it so confidently, he must have a way. She just had to trust him. However, Gu Jingyu, was he still alive? Perhaps he felt the girl's depressed mood. Diamo Xian's eyes drooped slightly, his deep obsidian-like pupils reflected the young lady's pale face, which was filled with a complicated expression. He tightened his grip on the girl and said in a low voice, "This is his fate and the fate he has chosen. Since he can't change it or stop it, he has to accept it." His large palms slowly clasped the girl's head. He made the young girl's gaze meet his. He was very clear about the meaning of his existence. Diamo Xian continued, "He was the vessel that Huang Wuyo had carefully selected." Container? Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly as she looked at the man's inky pupils. "What do you mean?" "A vessel just like how you are the divine phoenix profound heart jade's vessel. It is the best place to contain and nurture the divine phoenix profound heart jade. Similarly, Gu Jingyu's body should be the best vessel to support Huang Wuyo's body and soul." Diamo Xian explained, Huang Wuyo made use of Gu Jingyu as a vessel and made use of the sinister forbidden curse which was set up in the sealed grounds to carry out the soul transfer, which is one of the most sinister sorcery in the ancient times, soul transfer secret art. Soul transfer secret art. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5276. When Yiqing Luo heard this name, her heart thumped hard. From the name alone, Yiqing Luo could roughly imagine what the soul transfer secret art was. As expected, from Diamo Xian's mouth, he combined his own conjecture. From the very beginning, Gu Jingyu was the vessel that Huang Wuyo had chosen. This vessel could be said to be Huang Wuyo's escape route. If everything went according to Huang Wuyo's plan, if he could come out of the seal unscathed, Gu Jingyu was the catalyst to unlock the seal. If there were any sudden accidents when breaking the seal, he would not be able to escape. Huang Wuyo could even become a vessel to carry Huang Wuyo's soul and strength. In other words, Gu Jingyu was no longer Gu Jingyu. It was Huang Wuyo. It was no wonder that Huang Wuyo's divine sense could directly attach itself to Gu Jingyu's body and exchange blows with her. It was also because of Gu Jingyu's special physique that he was compatible with Huang Wuyo's soul. That was why Huang Wuyo's doppelganger had gone to the Nirvana realm to become Gu Jingyu's master and gain his trust. He had also successfully brainwashed Gu Jingyu into becoming one of his chess pieces. For Huang Wuyo, Yiqing Luo was an accident in his plan. This accident had not only ruined his plans again and again, but it had also ruined his plans. It even made the chess pieces that he had painstakingly cultivated start to have rebellious thoughts. If not for Gu Jingyu's usefulness, it was impossible for Huang Wuyo to allow Gu Jingyu to live until now. From Dmo Xian's mouth, Yiqing Luo knew that the current Huang Wuyo was nothing to be afraid of. Right from the start, Huang Wuyo had only wanted to obtain Yiqing Luo's divine phoenix profound heart jade and obtain the God Emperor's inheritance, making Yiqing Luo his tool. As for him, he used 10,000 years to turn the sealed land into a place of extreme negative energy. Then he set up the heavenly Yin bloodlust art in the land of extreme Yin to absorb the profound practitioner's energy and pour it into their souls, strengthening their souls. Then, at the most opportune moment, breaking the seal and gaining a new life. As for this freshman, he was the strongest at his peak, revered carefree. This was Huang Wuyo's original plan. But everything had been thrown into chaos. Yiqing Luo's appearance was out of Huang Wuyo's expectations, but it was also within his expectations. He wanted to be reborn as he had been in his prime. Yiqing Luo was indeed the key. What he didn't expect was, after Yiqing Luo inherited the Divine Emperor's inheritance, there would be such an earth-shattering change. Furthermore, she could freely control the Azure Dew bracelet and the Azure Dew divine weapon that Fenggu had left behind. This had obviously become Yiqing Luo's assistance. The most unexpected thing was, Yiqing Luo would use such a despicable method like poison. As a result, his soul and strength were all corroded by the poison, which also gave Yiqing Luo a chance to invade. Yiqing Luo discovered the crux of the God Emperor's seal. He also knew that the stone tablet was closely related to his seal. This had also disrupted Huang Wuyo's initial plan. Huang Wuyo could only choose to give up. Taking a step back, he only wanted to use Linglong and Gu Jinyu to forcefully break the seal. The consequences of breaking the seal, his spiritual energy would be severely damaged. Even if he broke the seal and left it, with his strength he could probably only maintain 70% of his power. Although 70% of his strength was enough for him to rule the world. However, under such circumstances, he was forced to break out of the seal in such a pathetic manner by his daughter, whom he had never taken a liking to. It really made Huang Wuyo feel that he had lost all his face. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5277. But everything was still the opposite of what Huang Wuyo had expected. If Yiqing Luo's appearance made his plan fail, then Dmo Xian's appearance made him completely lose all his sovereignty. In the end, he fled in panic in such a way. Yiqing Luo laid in Dmo Xian's arms and raised her head slightly, looking at the man's clean and beautiful chin. Her voice was soft. So, the current Huang Wuyo broke the divine phoenix seal in a way that injured the enemy by 1,000 and himself by 800, right? Dmo Xian responded with an N. Yiqing Luo stuffed her little head into his arms again. Then the consequence of this is, the current Huang Wuyo is seriously injured. Don't think about it. Dmo Xian's eyes drooped, his slender fingers held her chin, his deep black eyes were filled with seriousness and solemnity. Your injury is not light now. The man's tone was very gloomy, apparently still angry. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes, revealing an obedient and harmless smile. Her voice continued to be soft. I know, in order not to let you worry, I will be obedient. Am I not worried enough? Dmo Xian sneered, thinking of Yiqing Luo's sudden disappearance. Even the connection between the profound phoenix ring and profound dragon ring could not detect Yiqing Luo's existence. It was as if she had disappeared from this world. Dmo Xian couldn't recall how he felt when there was no news of Yiqing Luo. Almost. He wanted to turn the world upside down, destroy the heaven and earth, and he had to find Yiqing Luo. Thinking of this, Dmo Xian shut his eyes hard and pulled the young lady into his arms. He could feel that the girl was really by his side. That uneasy feeling in his heart finally subsided slightly. Yiqing Luo could naturally feel the change in the man's emotions, even if she didn't see it with her own eyes. Yiqing Luo also knew, when she was in the God Emperor's sealed space. What kind of feelings did Dmo Xian have? Her expression softened, stretched out her hands and wrapped them around his firm waist. I'm sorry I made you worry. The man didn't say a word, only increasing the strength of the hands holding her. Yiqing Luo's little hand grabbed his collar. There won't be a next time. The man's large palm held her little hand. Can there be no next time? Yiqing Luo nodded hard. Absolutely, I promise. The young girl blinked her charming eyes. Her long eyelashes were thick like the wings of a butterfly. Her pupils, which seemed to have been washed by green water, were bright and resplendent, reflecting his shadow. Her bright red lips curled up slightly in an attempt to please him. She looked obedient and cute. Diamo Xian's suppressed rage and all his viciousness softened at this moment. How could he bear to be angry at his little Luo heir? In the end, he could only sigh and press the young girl into his arms. For the time being, I'll believe you this once. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she used her face to rub against his chest. Indeed, she was not in a hurry to look for Huang Wuyo. She wanted to take advantage of his weakness to take his life. Firstly, it was to reassure Diamo Xian. Secondly, the current Huang Wuyo, under the circumstances of forcefully breaking the seal, could only maintain 50% of his previous strength, which was already the limit. Moreover, Huang Wuyo's injuries were much more serious than hers. In particular, there were all sorts of poisons in her body. It was enough for Huang Wuyo to suffer. She had merely overexerted her strength. It wouldn't be too late to look for Huang Wuyo after she had recuperated for a day. Huang Wuyo was surrounded by enemies and had no helpers. But she had Diamo Xian. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5278. The young lady's eyes were curved, filled with complacency. The man only took one look and had already guessed what the young lady was thinking. He sighed softly, his gaze was filled with indulgence and helplessness as he poked her forehead, then hugged her tightly. Don't let your imagination run wild, close your eyes and rest. Yiqing Luo rubbed against him in his arms. Yes, hubby. She obediently closed her eyes. Her body's exhaustion and the lingering familiar scent made her feel at ease. But a moment later she fell into a deep sleep, not knowing how long she had slept for. By the time Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, the room was pitch black. She got up, feeling relaxed and refreshed. That blood and dust-stained clothes had long been changed, and what replaced it was a soft and comfortable inner garment. Her body was clean and there was a faint medicinal fragrance. Apparently it was when she was unconscious. Someone had soaked her in a medicinal bath. Yiqing Luo's cheeks blushed slightly. She was really too assured towards Diamo Xian. After a few rounds of torment, she still hadn't woken up. Yiqing Luo stood up, took 2 steps and sensed for a moment. Her body had basically recovered. After walking out of the room, Yiqing Luo then realized that this was the Devil's Palace in the Devil's Domain. The surroundings were decorated in the style of the Devil's Domain. The surroundings were filled with silence. The sinister qi which she felt in the surroundings of the Devil's Domain had completely disappeared. Facing the chilly wind, Yiqing Luo closed her eyes slightly, feeling the end of a long battle, the feeling of surviving a new lease of life. She had returned to the Devil's Domain safely. As for the current Huang Wuyo, there was nothing to fear. When Diamo Xian returned, she could totally set off immediately to search for Huang Wuyo, making him disappear from this world completely, completing her mother's dying wish. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. But Yiqing Luo's curly long eyelashes trembled slightly in between her closed eyes. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes that were as bright as the stars were tinged with faint sorrow. She raised her wrist and slightly drooped her eyes, concentrating on the azure dew bracelet on her wrist which looked like blossoming cherry blossom petals. Her fair fingers gently caressed the rippling surface of the bracelet. Old Man Song. When the Divine Emperor sealed the space, Old Man Song had sacrificed himself to protect her and the people she wanted to protect. He sacrificed himself to become her strength. She did not feel touched at all. Old Man Song, that fool, he had lived for so long, but he didn't understand that what she wanted was never his sacrifice. What she wanted was for him to accompany her, to be her family and to be her mentor. Ever since she came to this other world, he was the first person to accompany her, teach her, and give her a future. From now on, he would never appear in front of her again. She had even said that she would help Old Man Song become a human again. He even said that he wanted Old Man Song to become a real person again. But now, Old Man Song went back on his word. He didn't wait for her. Suddenly, a hand grasped her slender wrist. The man's slender fingers lightly pressed against the azure dew bracelet. His other arm wrapped around the girl's waist and pulled her into his embrace. What's wrong? Why are you frowning? The man stroked the azure dew bracelet and lifted the young girl's wrist, his gaze falling on the blossoming petals of the cherry blossoms. Yiqing Luo shook her head and leaned her head into his embrace. Trying to hide it from me? Diamo Xian slightly bent down and looked her in the eyes. The man's slender hand moved from her wrist to her face and pressed against her lower jaw, forcing her face to face with him. 7th Young Miss Who Likes Trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your love and please collect it. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your love and please collect it. Right, Old Man Song was the spirit of the Azure Dew bracelet. If Old Man Song was truly injured at that time, no matter how well Old Man Song protected the Azure Dew bracelet, the Azure Dew bracelet would definitely be affected. But the Azure Dew bracelet was fine. In other words, Old Man Song could still be alive. But in that kind of situation, the things that Old Man Song did, even you could misunderstand, presumably. It should be an extremely dangerous and extremely harmful thing. Dmo Xian gently held her hand in his broad palm. His arm increased the strength of holding her slender waist, giving the young lady a warm and solid sense of security. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love, everyone please collect it. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love, hit me. Chapter 5280. Although Old Man Song should still be alive in this world, I'm afraid his situation is not optimistic. Dmo Xian's mellow voice whispered into her ear, you'd better be mentally prepared. Yi Qing Luo's heartstrings, which had just relaxed earlier, were raised once again. She pursed her lips, clenched the man's shirt and said, I understand your concerns. She laughed, I don't ask for much. As long as I can confirm that Old Man Song will have a chance to return to my side, this is the best result. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, she would definitely do everything she could to find Old Man Song. Suddenly Yi Qing Luo seemed to have thought of something as she abruptly raised her head, her eyes leaping with joy. That's right, Ah Xian. Wasn't Old Man Song's body still in the Earth domain? As long as I use the Azure Water artifact to help him revive, then he can. Dmo Xian stroked her little head and saw that the young lady's face had finally revealed a smile. Her eyes had also regained its vigor and her thoughts had finally changed accordingly. His eyes that were as deep as ink overflowed with gentleness. Yes. With hope came motivation. After Dmo Xian confirmed several times that Yi Qing Luo's body had indeed completely recovered to how it was before he allowed her to walk out of the Devil Hall's courtyard. Previously, the Devil Territory had attracted people from various forces because of the appearance of the Divine Emperor's tomb and the seizure of the Divine Emperor's divine weapon. Then, because of Huang Wuyo's God Emperor seal, there was an uproar, causing countless factions to rush to the demon domain. Originally, because the demonic domain was located in the land of extreme negative energy and was filled with baleful aura, no one dared to set foot in it. Now it was overcrowded. The Demon Hall Master had no way to stop it. How could he stop it? This group of profounders from the various powers had rushed over madly because they'd sensed danger from the Devil Territory. On top of that, there were also inexplicable rumors spreading all over the world. They were all discussing that a demon god had descended from the demon domain and was about to invade the various worlds. Regardless of whether the rumors were true or not, the chaos in the demon domain was real. Out of the protection of his own interface and to avoid harming his own interests. Hence, all the great clans sent their own people to the demon domain to investigate. Of course, the second reason was naturally because there was profit to be made. The tomb of the former divine emperor was found sealed in the demon domain. Along with the emergence of the graveyard were the divine artifacts used by countless former divine emperors and divine artifacts from 10,000 years ago, as burial objects. How much could one's strength be enhanced by simply obtaining one of them? How much could the strength of an entire family be enhanced? Chapter 5281. Devil God? This unfamiliar title made Yi Qing Luo slightly stunned. Feng family's patriarch pursed his lips as his expression changed. It's the man who was sealed by little Gu. Huang Wuyo? Devil God? How did Huang Wuyo get the title of Devil God? Dmo Xian explained the recent rumors in her ear. The Devil domain was in turmoil and the person who was sealed by the former God Emperor broke the seal. After all, this was the Devil domain's territory. Naturally, the crowd gave Huang Wuyo a title. Devil God. It sounded like it was very powerful. Thinking of Huang Wuyo, Yi Qing Luo's expression changed slightly. He has already left the God Emperor's seal. Although they already knew this result. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's admission, Feng family's patriarch and Feng Liqiong's expression changed slightly. Feng family's patriarch's brows knitted tightly as his expression was complicated. That man? If he breaks the seal, I'm afraid the first thing he will do is to seek revenge on the Feng family. Initially it was Feng Gu who exhausted his energy and even sacrificed his life to seal him. And now, Feng Gu had disappeared from this world. Who else could restrain Huang Wuyo? Qing Luo? No. They had already lost Feng Gu. They absolutely could not lose Yi Qing Luo again. Yi Qing Luo naturally understood what her grandfather was thinking. Her long and narrow eyes stared at Feng family's patriarch solemnly. Her tone was gentle, but with a convincing firmness. The current him, I'm afraid he can only barely protect himself. He doesn't have the energy to seek revenge on the Feng family. Huang Wuyo running to the Feng family at this time, wasn't that throwing himself into a trap? Feng family's patriarch's brows didn't relax because of this. His tone was still solemn. Be careful, he has too many ancient evil arts on him. I'm worried. He will hurt you. I have something he wants on me. Yi Qing Luo comforted. Before he gets what he wants, he won't do anything to me. The young lady paused for a moment as she pulled the peerless man beside her, her pink lips hooked. Moreover, with Xian by my side, he won't dare to act rashly. Patriarch Feng's vision shifted onto DMO Xian. After a moment of silence, he sighed softly and said, "This is your fate. From the moment you were born, this fate was already set in stone. This ill-fated fate started because of you, and it will also end because of you. Even if I want to stop it, I can't stop the arrangements of fate." Yi Qing Luo's birth was a scheme. If he wanted to escape his control, he had to be able to do it. His life was his to decide, not anyone else's. No matter how worried he was, no matter how much he wanted to protect his granddaughter. He could protect her for a while, but he could not protect her forever. Furthermore, this ill-fated relationship had to come to an end. Thinking of all the things that happened recently, Feng Clan Master closed his eyes tiredly. Grandfather, Mother is willing to believe in me and choose me. This means that I definitely have the ability to fulfill Mother's last wish. The young girl's soft little hand covered the Feng family patriarch's slightly rough hand. Her tone was gentle, but it was filled with determination. I am the successor that the Divine Phoenix has recognized, and I am the current Divine Phoenix Emperor. Grandfather should believe in my abilities. She lightly patted Feng Clan Master's hand. 10,000 years ago, that incredible Huang Wuyo who even Mother couldn't gain any advantage in his hands. But now he was forced by me to the point of running away like a rat with its tail between its legs. Her lips curled upwards, as beautiful as a flower. So, what kind of waves can he still stir up now? Feng Clan Master looked at the face in front of him, which was exactly the same as Feng Ji's. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5282. But the expression on this face was much more lively than Feng Ji's. Feng Gu was undoubtedly powerful. However, the burden on her shoulders made it impossible for her to relax. Even in front of Huang Wuyo. The smile on Feng Ji's face was not wholeheartedly devoted. But Yi Qing Luo was different. Yi Qing Luo was confident and arrogant. Her every action and expression made one involuntarily believe in her. This was something that had never been seen on Feng Gu. Yi Qing Luo and Feng Gu were alike. But not alike. Feng family patriarch looked at the young lady's bright and unrestrained expression, and after a long time, the tightened thread in his heart suddenly relaxed. As though he had thought something through. He smiled. All right, grandfather believes you. This was his granddaughter, Feng Ji's daughter, the new divine phoenix of God realm. He should believe in her, believe in Feng Gu, believe in divine phoenix's recognition. The grandfather and granddaughter looked at each other with a smile. Feng Liqiong, who was standing by the side, looked at Yi Qing Luo unnaturally and spoke in a tsundere tone. Be careful, don't let us worry. Saying that, she turned her head away. Looking at Feng Liqiong's blushing face and that unnatural expression, Yi Qing Luo's slender eyes curved. Got it, uncle. She paused and suddenly thought of something as she immediately asked. Oh yes, uncle, is Cici all right? In the God Emperor's sealed space, Feng Shi was also sucked into the space because of Linglong. Later on, she was stimulated to activate the Divine Phoenix's bloodline. Although later on, she was saved by someone. But the situation was not optimistic. Speaking of Feng Shi, Feng Liqiong's expression turned slightly cold. His brows furrowed tightly. Yi Qing Luo noticed the change in his expression. Uncle, has Cici not woken up yet? I'll go take a look at him. He has woken up, but... Feng family patriarch spoke on behalf of Feng Liqiong as he sighed. But... Cici might have to leave the Feng family. Leave the Feng family? Yiqing Luo asked, "Why?" Feng family patriarch took a look at Feng Liqiong and seeing that he had no intention to speak, he continued, "Cici's mother is here." Yiqing Luo's pupils dilated when she heard that. The image of the white-robed figure who had appeared after Feng Shi had activated her divine emperor bloodline in the sealed space of the divine emperor suddenly appeared in his mind. Was that woman Feng Shi's mother? She had rushed to the divine emperor's sealed space to save Feng Shi? The situation was urgent. Yiqing Luo totally couldn't differentiate who that lady was. He could only guess. That woman's strength should not be weak, at least above the Feng family. Otherwise, they would not have been able to reach the seal of the divine phoenix unscathed and rescue Feng Shi. However, it was that woman who had left Feng Shi in the Feng family. Now he had suddenly appeared. Did he want to take Feng Shi away? Did she suddenly have the so-called motherly love, or did she have other intentions? Perhaps guessing what Yiqing Luo was thinking about, Feng family's matriarch spoke out, "It's because we didn't protect little Shi properly, which caused little Shi to fall into such a dangerous situation, almost losing her life." He sighed softly. If she had not appeared in time to save little Shi, I'm afraid. As Feng clan master spoke to this point, he couldn't continue to speak. Yiqing Luo also got the gist of it. That woman was blaming them for not protecting Feng Shi properly. So now she wanted to take Feng Shi away. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5283. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips. I'll go take a look. Feng Shi was placed in the palace where Feng Liqiong and Feng Qiong lived, which was next door to Yiqing Luo. When Yiqing Luo followed behind Feng Qiong, the man next to her suddenly hooked her finger. The man's slender finger joints were distinct. His slightly curved finger hooked on the young girl's slender fingertip. Yiqing Luo caught hold of his fingers as she glanced sideways at him in puzzlement, using her eyes to inquire, "What's the matter?" The two of them walked side by side and their steps were surprisingly consistent. The breeze blew a few strands of the man's black hair from time to time, which brushed past the young girl's face, giving her a slight itchy feeling. The man's handsome face, when he looked at her from the side, looked even more handsome and peerless. "Later on, if we see anyone," the man lowered his voice and whispered, "don't be too surprised." Yiqing Luo blinked her long eyelashes. What did this sentence mean? Very soon Yiqing Luo understood the meaning of Dmo Xian's words. When she walked into Feng Shi's room and saw the slender and graceful figure sitting by the bed, she was instantly dumbfounded. She blinked and rubbed her eyes again. The fairy-like woman in a flowing white dress was really sitting there. Hearing the sound behind her, the woman stood up slowly. The white gauze on her was like a green smoke or a flowing cloud, slowly falling down. She slowly turned her head and looked behind her. And that familiar face was revealed in front of Yiqing Luo. Bai Su. Who else could the person in front of her be but Bai Su? Bai Su was the woman who cooperated with Dmo Xian previously. Dmo Xian was looking for the profound flame Tianshu diagram in the Nirvana realm, while she was stationed in the dark. She was also the biological sister of the teacher named Bai Mei who had a crush on Dmo Xian in Nirvana realm's gods class who wanted to be an old cow eating the cradle. Yiqing Luo knew that Bai Su's identity was very mysterious. Probably as mysterious as Dmo Xian. The last time she saw Bai Su, she was still in a spiritual state. Yiqing Luo had never thought Bai Su was actually Feng Shi's mother. Feng Shi's mother was Bai Su? No wonder Dmo Xian had to remind her of that before they came. But even if Dmo Xian had reminded him, seeing Bai Su at this time, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but be surprised. Hearing the noise at the door, Bai Su turned around immediately. His gaze first fell on Feng Liqiong. Her beautiful face instantly darkened. She was just about to yell at Feng Liqiong to get out of the room and out of her sight. Suddenly she heard a clear and melodious little voice calling her name. Bai Su's beautiful eyes moved slightly as she looked towards the direction of the voice. When she saw that it was Yiqing Luo, the expression on her face eased slightly. Miss Qing Luo. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes. The face in front of him was indeed Bai Su's. However, the Bai Su in front of her was not in her previous spiritual state. She was standing in front of her in her human form. Bai Su saw the astonishment on the girl's face. Bai Su raised her lips and revealed her first smile since she appeared in the Feng residence. This smile made her elegant and refined face look like a flower in full bloom, which made people unable to take their eyes off her. She took the initiative to say, I am Feng Shi's biological mother, Bai Su. Yiqing Luo, it was one thing to know. Hearing her admit it, it was inevitable that she was shocked. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5284. Feng family master on the side looked at the interaction between the two and seemed to react. Little Luo, you and this Miss Bai know each other? This was the first time he met Bai Su. When he found out that Bai Su was Feng Shi's biological mother, he confirmed that Bai Su was Feng Shi's biological mother after confirming the details and the bloodline between Bai Su and Feng Shi. Until now, Feng clan master hasn't recovered from this change. Now he saw that Bai Su and Yiqing Luo knew each other. He was increasingly curious about Bai Su's identity. On the other hand, he was looking forward to it. If Xiao Luo and Xiao Shi's biological mother knew each other, could she help to persuade Bai Su to let Feng Shi stay in the Feng residence? Or, both mother and son could stay. Lord Feng's motive was too obvious. He was a little cautious when he spoke. Bai Su interrupted Lord Feng's fantasy and said calmly, Lord Feng, I will not let Cici stay in the Feng residence. You don't have enough ability to protect Cici. There wasn't much aggression in her tone. She was just expressing her thoughts calmly. Feng Liqiong frowned and said coldly, Xiao Shi is also my child. Was you? Just as he was about to speak, he caught a glimpse of the little person lying on the bed, and the words that were about to come out of his mouth stopped in his throat. He pursed his lips and continued, We've been taking care of little Shi for so many years, especially my father. The relationship between grandfather and grandson can't be broken so easily. You've not only hurt my father and I by forcefully separating little Shi from us, but also little Shi. This is the consequence of leaving Cici in your care. Compared to Feng Liqiong, Bai Su was much calmer. Even the expression on her face did not change much. Now that Cici's divine phoenix bloodline has been activated, there will be more and more people coveting him. Do you think that you can protect Cici with just the two of you? Feng Liqiong's face stiffened. Lord Feng moved his lips but didn't know what to say. Bai Su looked indifferent and continued to speak calmly, Cici can only get the best protection if he stays by my side. I will not hand him over to you. You. Feng Liqiong was a straight man, but when she heard Bai Su's last sentence, her face turned livid, and she opened her mouth to refute. Yiqing Luo first pressed on Feng Liqiong's hand and interrupted his words, All right, let me see how Cici is now. After that, she pushed Feng Liqiong to Patriarch Feng and walked to Bai Su. Then he took Bai Su's hand and walked to the bedside. Feng Liqiong still wanted to say something, but she was stopped by Patriarch Feng. Patriarch Feng shook his head at her, signaling her not to speak again. Bai Su was very determined. This time, Feng Shi's injury was indeed due to their negligence. It was reasonable for Bai Su to vent her anger on them. If they continued to talk about this topic, they would probably part on bad terms again. However, something small fell here. Perhaps there would be a turn for the better. Yiqing Luo took Bai Su and walked to Feng Shi's bedside. She lowered her eyes and looked at the little man on the bed. His face was pale and his eyes were tightly shut. Her heart ached as she sat down beside him and reached out to touch his forehead. Feng Shi must have just taken the medicine and fallen asleep again. At this moment, his brows were slightly furrowed. Obviously he was still not feeling well, which made him very uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo gently picked up his wrist and checked his pulse. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Di Zun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5285. Feng Shi's internal injuries weren't too serious after recuperation. But because of the divine phoenix bloodline, her small body couldn't bear too much energy, which was beyond what her body could bear, which led to a huge loss of energy. Her other external and internal injuries were all treated. But she still had to recuperate for a period of time before she could fully recover. Yiqing Luo put Feng Shi's hand under the quilt and looked at Bai Su. I'm sorry, the main reason why Cici became like this is because of me, because she had brought Linglong back to the Feng family, which led to Feng Shi being brought into the Divine Emperor's seal because she chased after Linglong, which was why she almost lost her life in the hands of Huang Wuyo. After all, because of her. I don't blame you or anyone else. Bai Su shook her head. When she looked at Feng Shi, a gentle expression that only a mother could have appeared on that incomparably beautiful face. She reached out and gently stroked Feng Shi's hair on her forehead, saying in a gentle voice, "I chose to give birth to Cici. I had already guessed this would happen. I just didn't expect it to be so soon." Already knew Huang Wuyo would hurt Feng Shi? Wait a minute. Yiqing Luo suddenly seemed to have thought of something and her expression froze. She looked sideways at Bai Su. Bai Su smiled warmly at her. When their eyes met, she found the answer in each other's eyes. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly skipped a beat. "Let's talk outside." She glanced at Feng Shi, then stood up and walked towards the door. Bai Su didn't refuse. She tucked Feng Shi in and followed Yiqing Luo out of the door. When she passed by Feng Liqiong and the Feng family's patriarch, she glanced at them indifferently but didn't say anything and walked straight out of the door. This was also the intention to let them take care of Feng Shi for the time being. Outside the door, Yiqing Luo was waiting not far away. Bai Su walked over slowly, her white dress fluttering in the wind. In the magical style of the Devil Palace, she looked like a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. She walked to Yiqing Luo's side. The two walked side by side aimlessly. When they were more than 10 meters away from the palace, Yiqing Luo finally opened her mouth. "You, Oolong, knew that Feng Shi would be the successor to the throne after me?" Bai Su's lips curled up into a beautiful smile, but there was a hint of helplessness in it. "Yes, I already knew it when I was pregnant with him. I also know that once I give birth to him, his life will always be accompanied by danger. But you still gave birth to him." Yiqing Luo thought that if it was her, she would make the same choice as Bai Su. Even if Bai Su did not love Feng Liqiong. Even though Bai Su knew that giving birth to this child meant that she might lose her life. But this was also her child. The child of her flesh and blood. How could she bear to give up? Back then when I was pregnant with Cici, I was wholeheartedly preparing for Cici's future. I wanted to use my power to seal the divine phoenix's bloodline in Cici's body. I hoped that he could become an ordinary person. So, after giving birth to Cici, I sought the method that the former divine emperor used to seal you, to seal Cici like you did in the past. But I didn't have the ability to send Cici to another realm to preserve the vitality of his soul. I could only let him maintain his life forever in the form of a baby, and I searched everywhere for the method to seal the divine phoenix's bloodline. Until I was in the Nirvana realm, I heard the news of the Xianyan Tianshu diagram. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.